From doctors to highs and lows of parenting from the different corners of the globe. It's an exclusive symposium brought to you by the Nestlé Nutrition Institute. I am your host, Delamar Arias, and I am so pleased to welcome everyone to this exclusive symposium where we will not only dive deep into the internal and external struggles that parents across the globe face, but also discuss some concrete and scientifically proven methods on how you doctors can help your parent partners navigate through these challenges. To really set the tone for today's event, let's watch this quick video.
To say that parenting is full of struggles is an understatement. Often, couples figure out the art of parenting as they navigate the unique maze of their own experiences, bringing with them their own backgrounds, childhood experiences, and learnings as their personal compass. And while their goals and ambitions as parents may be clear, the directions they need to take are often not, with an integral part of their parenting journey influenced by the evolving dictates of the fast-changing world. Truly, the parenting challenge has risen to a higher notch of difficulty, with parents called to know how best to respond to the needs of their children, as these can very well influence the kind of adults they will later become. What role do we play in all of this as healthcare professionals caring for children? Today, through the Parenting Index, and with the help of experts across the globe, let's dive deeper into the experiences and unravel the layers of various real-life family dynamics. Learn how this relates to our profession as doctors with close relationships with families, and understand the integral role that parenting plays in the lives and futures of children.
As a parent myself, like most of you, I'm sure, today's topic is one that is very important to me. It resonates deeply with me, and I'm really looking forward to listening and learning from all our experts that will be sharing their knowledge. Now, before we begin today's in-depth discussion, I'd like to introduce you to Nestlé Nutrition Institute's Global Medical Director. Please welcome Dr. Josephine Yuson Sunga.
Hello. Welcome to this exclusive webinar from Nestlé Nutrition Institute. As doctors, we always strive to give the best care for our patients, how they grow, how to feed them, and how to best care for them. We share a lot of happy conversations with parents, but a lot of times, they too go through a lot of unique sets of challenges. Across the globe, parents deal with multiple stressors: financial, family issues, societal pressures, big changes in the world we live in. And the greatest challenge of all is that of raising their children. These highs and lows of parenthood are what's highlighted in the Parenting Index, which is a comprehensive study seeking to better understand the multiple challenges and issues parents deal with on a daily basis. As doctors, we care not only for the child, but also for the whole family as well. In today's activity, we will hear from parents so as to better understand them. We will also listen to experts on parenting on how we can help the parents navigate through the multiple challenges they face. We hope that each and every one of you can learn from these insights and knowledge so we can better forge stronger partnerships with the parents in order to provide more holistic care for children all over the globe. As we raise great parents, we also raise great children. Thank you very much and have an amazing day.
As a mom, I'll be the first to say that parenthood is one of the most rewarding, but also the most challenging experiences of my life. I admit that. But I always strive to be I wouldn't say best mom. What I most want to be is an effective mom. But I won't deny that there have been some bumps along the road on my way to being an effective mom. So challenges that were definitely exacerbated by, well, when the pandemic hit. For the first part of our program, let's take a look at the testimonies and challenges of my fellow parents across the globe.
Hello, my name is Katharina Olaifa, and I am currently in Canada, and I am a mother of a little boy named Caleb.
My name is Lumide Francis Olaifa, and my wife is Maria Katerina, and I'm Nigerian, living in the Philippines. Parenting is not easy, and it's also easy if you have a spouse that is ready to support you.
Also, aside from that, parenting right now, like we have, it also pays off that we plan things and we don't like surprises. So if there are any surprises, then we take care of it.
Distance is too far. The distance is too far. 12 hours difference. Right now it is 11:34 a.m. in the Philippines. In Canada is 11:34 p.m. So it's quite challenging that I have to work and I have to multitask in everything I need to do.
The challenge that I always make sure that my husband will see his first walk, his first words. Always keep in mind to take pictures, call, make FaceTime, making sure that he's not only speaking English but he's also speaking my language. He's also speaking his dad's language. Those are the things. Making sure that we do not lose our culture. He needs to know that he's Filipino and he's Nigerian, and there are certain cultures that we want him to understand and to learn and to love. Also, to make sure that he talks to his grandparents from both sides.
Yeah, and like I mentioned about being a team, like when she's having a personal time, it becomes my duty to babysit. So I'm like the remote babysitter. So when he's on the bed, he's asleep, my phone is on or my computer is on. Even though I'm also about to sleep, I have to watch him. I have to ensure that I'm looking at him and I ensure that the volume is loud. So when he moves or I can't see him anymore, I'll just shout, "Where are you?" He has moved. So stuff like that, you have to work hand in hand.
So what happened to us was that at first I was scared that Caleb would have stranger anxiety because he was always with us. It was just the three of us. But then thankfully he's very friendly and he didn't have that. Second, also because of the visa problems, the visa challenges.
So if I decide to say I want to work overtime longer, that limits my time speaking to him. And also while I'm working, I'm also looking at him, but I can't speak to him because I'm busy. Caleb needs to go to bed soon. So I have a short window. So those kind of things limit my work that I have to like compromise a lot of things. Because Caleb needs to go to bed and we need to talk. Because if I miss that window, the only time I can speak to him is maybe if he wakes up early or he wakes up in the middle of the night and she calls me. So that's how difficult it is. It's just shared. I do my part, she does her part. Anything about school, about information about school that she needs to like crack ahead to do, like it's quite difficult. I handle them from my end because they are all remote. So she has time to like rest and take care of Caleb. So that's the kind of responsibility that we have.
This is a compromise that we are here and we decided that technically I become a single parent and I'm with Caleb and he is away from his dad. This is a compromise for the greater good in the future. it eases the burden that I see him every day, and he's getting taller and taller. And of course, my husband has always been there, always. Like, I know that I have a team. I have somebody with me, going through all this. So that's very important because he's there, not physically, but I feel his presence. I feel that we are doing this together, and I'm not alone. Try to pray together all the time.
Yeah, great.
Right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
get a tripod, get a long charger, and either get a computer or get a phone because you'll be on a long video call.
Hello, my name's Serena,
My name's Ben.
and we have been together for 10 years now. And
We met on a boat travelling in Thailand. We got both on a round the world trip.
we have a 5.5-month-old baby, and his name is Benji. Yes, very simple answer. We imagined it to be a lot harder because we have friends who have babies or have children that have said, you know, it's really, really difficult and it's harder than you're going to expect. And so I think we were bracing ourselves for something very, very difficult. And for us, it's just come very easy. Ben works a lot. He does like days and nights, and so I am doing a lot of it on my own. But then it's a challenge, but then I'm getting used to it, so it's becoming easier and easier.
I work a lot of long hours, so I'm normally out the house in the morning before Benji's awake, and 9 times out of 10 by the time I come home he's asleep.
There's things that are hard, like I would prefer Ben to be home with me, you know, co-parenting, but that's not real life. So we just crack on and get on with it. I was pregnant during the pandemic. Yeah, I was pregnant during the lockdown. So I actually found it easier because there was not much socializing going on, so I wasn't missing anything, so I didn't get like fear of missing out.
My sort of Monday to Friday is pure work time, and then the weekends obviously Benji and Serena. I'd like to be home more often. Obviously that's a bit of as the business is growing, sort of working towards, but at the moment it definitely interferes. Most mornings when I wake up, I leave at 4:30 in the morning, so Serena and Benji are still asleep, and then I normally get home about 8-9 o'clock at night, so Benji and Serena sometimes asleep then as well. So obviously I appreciate the weekends and make the most of it, Benji and Serena.
Yeah, we don't really share parenting responsibilities. I suppose we're like an old-fashioned couple. Man goes to work, wife stays at home, does the cooking and cleaning.
And I pay for everything.
And he's the provider. Yeah, that's how it works. So, well, yeah, that's a responsibility.
Yeah.
That's a very heavy responsibility.
Thank you.
I suppose a big compromise that we've made is moving outside of London into the suburbs, countryside, in order to have like a house and a large garden for Benji to grow up in. We've kind of dropped our young London lifestyle to move here and become adults. Ben's parents and his sister live about 25 minutes away. and even though my parents live an hour and a half away, they still come to help me out with Benji.
Yeah, they usually come about once a week, don't they, on average?
Yeah, once or twice a month, I'd say. Oh, sorry, 2 or 3 times a month, I'd say. I think it's like the overthinking of everything. There's no need for it. It's like unnecessary. The kind of, is he too hot? Is he too cold? Yeah, it's like a big one.
Shall we do this? Shall we do that?
I don't think we ever really expected it to be easy, but in our case, we had some additional challenges because after the birth, our baby was hospitalized and he was in intensive care, and he stayed in the hospital for a week. And when we came home, we were really overwhelmed with lots of doctor's visits, hospital stays, and medical tests for him. So it's I think already difficult to become a parent and go through this transition, but in our case we had these additional worries. The top challenge was how vulnerable we became, because when you have, you know, this little baby to take care of and you're also recovering, and it really just hurts to see when the baby's not doing well.
Are you sure? Hi. It's okay if you need to step out or pause for a while.
It's just he didn't have his nap, and
Oh.
it's a little bit difficult because today we don't have help. Definitely harder. Harder because we were extremely isolated, especially coming home with a baby that had been in care. So when we left the hospital with Liam, the doctors had asked us to make sure that he didn't have a lot of contact with people outside of the household. And so we hardly saw any friends or met anyone besides just going to pediatricians and doctor visits and having the midwife come to our house to check on us. Yeah, for my husband, I see when he went back to work after Liam's birth, and then Liam was sick again, it was difficult for him to make the call, you know, do I come to the hospital as well, or do I stay at work? Because we never knew if, you know, something that was happening was serious enough or not. But of course, you're worried about your child.
It was a bit of finding our way with that one. The main tasks for Natalie were obviously ensuring that Liam was fed. So anything that I could do from a supporting function to facilitate that. So really, we sort of split the roles around. I would feed her, she would feed him, and then anything that was required in between, I would run around and do. As a parent, you want to provide the best possible for your child, and I think the way that I see it is that as much time as I can spend with Liam as possible is probably the biggest investment that I can make with him.
We also were in touch with some family members that were abroad that were definitely providing a lot of emotional support and advice, and definitely helped us a lot in difficult times.
just be prepared to put in as much time as you can, and realize that the mum will need as much support as the new baby.
You know, I used to hear that it takes a village, and I didn't really comprehend what that meant, and now I do. It's true, it does take a village, and I think that the advice I would give is to try and have a support network before the baby arrives, with people close by or people far away, but you know, people you can rely on.
Thank you so much to our three-parent couples for being very open to sharing your challenges and vulnerabilities with us. Now I understand, I'm a parent myself, and it's not easy to show the mess inside a parent's whole being. And it kind of makes us afraid to be open for fear of being judged. But it is in the openness, I feel, that we can see the problems and start to address that. And with that in mind, we would like to open the floor to our esteemed and global panel of experts to weigh in with their own research and their data and knowledge based on their combined years of experience. The first member of our panel is a cognitive behavioral psychotherapist with over 10 years of experience in working with both adults and children in Mexico. Please welcome Cesar Vaquero. We also have with us is an active and successful relationship and parenting consultant in the Philippines who's been guiding families and couples for over 25 years. Please welcome Ms. Maribel Jonicio. And finally, rounding out our expert panel is a pediatrician at Hospital Israelita Albert Einstein and Dean at the Albert Einstein School of Medicine. Please welcome Dr. Claudio Schwartzman. Each one of our panel experts has heard the concerns of our parents, and they're here to provide us with concrete and evidence-based facts, research that all our viewers today can utilize in their individual practices to uplift their relationship with the parent partners and create stronger foundations for families across the globe.
Hi, I'm Cesar Vaqueiro. I'm a cognitive behavioral therapist from Mexico, and I'm going to talk a little more about parenting. I think it's completely normal to feel overwhelmed in any situation that leads to frustration. Vulnerability is just another experience of a human being, and if you acknowledge that you're being vulnerable by having this new situation, then it becomes a little easier and not so challenging, because that's just a human experience. With the Dadula family, taking time and care for yourself is really needed. It's something that we take on notice as we prefer to do that, but it's something that we need to do. If you don't take care of yourselves, then it becomes a little more challenging also to parent. Babies don't make choices or decisions, they react. So when we realize that they are reacting to the environment and to the things that are happening in their lives, it becomes easier to not to take like personal the things that the child is doing. Building a support system is basic, because if you don't have a support system, a strong support system, and more nowadays in the pandemic, if you don't get to do that, then it's probably something that it's going to affect the way that you are dealing with your parenting or with your child. With the last name family, it's a couple that not only had a baby, but they also moved and changed their lives completely. So you have to also consider that any change that you do in your life, it's also something that you have to acknowledge and you have to deal with, because you're dealing with your past life and now you're redoing it. They said something really funny, that was that they were becoming adults. And that's a perception that all parents have when they are having a newborn baby, that they are really becoming adults. So it's really normal to think that. They also talked about sleep deprivation as something that was really important, that was something they had to deal with. So when we don't get that much sleep, we get more stressed out, and thinking clearly becomes a lot more challenging. So you should cherish those moments, whatever way you can, to strengthen your couple's communication and bond is something that you also have to be aware of, because we come from different cultures and we come from different backgrounds. So it's really important to acknowledge that. Sometimes people with small children get so saturated and frustrated that they look at the partner arriving as a timeout, and that can be really difficult for both parents because it becomes a matter of hierarchy or competition rather than listening to the needs. So you have to listen and to trust the person that is with you in order for you to cope with the parenting as smooth as you can. It's totally okay to have roles in your life. Right now, we are dealing with a deconstruction of ourselves as a society. We think that it's not okay to have any role, but if you have a traditional role in your life, it's it's a lot better to acknowledge that than not to do so. I would like to talk a little about cognitive distortions. Cognitive distortion is an exaggerated or irrational thought pattern involved in on the set of perpetration of psychopathological states. And cognitive distortions are thoughts that cause individuals to perceive reality inaccurately. But we have to acknowledge that by being a parent right now, you're interpreting life differently. And there are just a few I want to focus on, which are thinking of all or nothing, like thinking that everything is black or white. It's not going to be helpful for you if you're raising a child, because then you're just married to something. Seeing things as a magnification, like they're bigger or more important than what they are, it's also not so helpful to look at things that way. Doing emotional reasoning, which is thinking that by being stressed out or feeling that you're worried, life is stressing and life is something to be worried about. You have to think about the present, that you have to deal with the present as it is. Or the should statements. The should statements is something that we all do, and that we listen to many of our relatives and our friends that say that you should do this and you should do that, and it's something that you would rather do. And you have to listen to yourself and your couple in order to make decisions. I want to thank everyone, and I hope that all these points that I'm telling become handy to you. Thank you very much.
Good day, dear parents, doctors, and healthcare professionals. I am Maribel Janicio from the Love Institute in the Philippines. So I'm a parenting specialist. Before I discuss this HOME, home acronym we have here, I'll just share a quick story about my three children. There was a time I served them spaghetti, just bolognese, noodles, and cheese. My eldest just got the noodles with the bolognese sauce, whereas my second son took the noodles, bolognese sauce, and cheese. He had it all, it was complete. But my daughter just got the cheese. And I said, what kind of spaghetti is that? You're not supposed to eat it that way. So this is the parent wanting to comment on how the children do things. But what did I actually do? I kept quiet and allowed them and respected them. It's a good thing I learned this principle from one of my the parenting course that my husband and I took. Respect our children's preferences. as long as safety and morals are not really a concern. So fast forward, our children can make decisions, and they've grown up to be caring, responsible, and confident adults, which all of us want to. But how can young parents, like our three couples here, raise their children really well with more joy and really with helping them to be caring and responsible adults? Before that, I'd like to mention that the source of this information comes from three studies that I was able to do with our well-known Dr. Quinali Chua, a well-known psychologist in the Philippines. So we have the parents' best practices, and this I've added on to our lecture today. The second study was Magaling ang Pinoy study we did in the public school. So parents' best practices of private school and public school. And so whether your children are in the public school or private school, the ingredients for effective parenting are basically the same. And we quickly did a third study on digital raising of kids that really helped, which is a common concern of many parents today. So, what's this picture all about? This is about the H, healthy relationship with our children. Dads spending time with their children. So it is a value we have to make time with our children. When we make time with our children, we are essentially letting them know that they are important and that we want to get to know them, and we have to schedule that. But besides healthy relationship with our children is also a healthy relationship as a couple. And I know from the three couples, there's a challenge in the beginning as new parents to find couple time. But look for people who can help you so you can have your weekly couple time. That's the secret that Alan and I have for the past 38 years, the couple time. Secondly, we want you as parents to have develop this open communication. Use the formula of paraphrase for listening and use the I message for speaking. So when we paraphrase, we are definitely listening to our children. We are repeating in our own words what they are saying. And in the speaker formula, we are expressing our feelings and our thoughts. We are not judging. Children do not want parents who are judgmental or who put them down. So, thirdly, mindful guidance. Yes, we need house rules, but there are house rules within limits. And so, guidelines and a schedule. So, this is a schedule of a toddler. From the time that the toddler wakes up, the time they sleep. If you have a school-age kid or a young teen, then work out a schedule with each one of them, setting up goals and writing down what interests or activities they want to get involved in. And lastly, we parents need to develop this encouraging environment. We have to be positive, focusing on the strengths and nothing negative. So with our newborn, you can say, oh my gosh, you finished the 4 ounces of milk. I'm sure your stomach is so happy, and I'm really so happy also that you finish your meal. So the more positive we are, our children will want to be around us. And it is important that we continue implementing or using these key 4 ingredients of HOME with each of our children. And as a result, the highs of parenting can be more, and the joys of parenting will be much more. You can really enjoy, and this is what I've used all these years to really enjoy my children. And up to now, they want to connect. So like anybody else, we want to really enjoy our children and raise them to be flourishing, to be happy, confident, and responsible persons. I'm sure you can do that. And you want your children to enjoy you more, just the way you want to enjoy really your children as well. Thank you and goodbye.
Hello, everybody. I'm Claudio Schwartzman, pediatrician from São Paulo, Brazil. I'd like to congratulate Nestlé Nutrition Institute for organizing an event of such an important matter and to thank for the invitation. Raising children has always been difficult. Only the challenges are changing. Please Take a look at this note from the Talmud. When you teach your son, you teach your son's son. It has over 2,000 years, and it perfectly illustrates the essence of the mission to perpetuate legacies. Raising a child is talking about the future. You never know where it will lead. You do your best at the very beginning, but at a certain point, you have to let go. It has never been so easy, and it has never been so difficult to raise children as it is now. It has never been so easy, from family structures, social network and nutritional support, the advancement of digital life with vast access to information, improvement of living, sanitary and health conditions, wonderful evolution of the condition of women and mothers in modern society, both personal and professional. And it has never been so difficult. Despite undeniable social progress, inequalities have deepened. Access to school, healthcare, housing, and sanitary conditions, and digitization are quite heterogeneous. And the woman's condition as a mother is greatly influenced by her social condition and educational level, having to fulfill three journeys: taking care of the children, the home, and being a provider, often alone. Even when there is a partnership with the father, the mission of reconciling professional success and motherhood often seems to be elusive. And the pandemic. Look at this number. More than 5 million children worldwide lost a provider to COVID-19. The disruption of everyday life was immense. Schools and daycare centers closed, the family at home all day, everything taking place online, from school to work, and the need to reconcile all this. Forced proximity generates greater empathy, greater bonding, including with schoolwork. But it generates conflict on everything, and it is obviously accentuated by social disparity. And the face masks. Its presence interferes with the ability to interpret emotions through facial expressions, such as happiness and sadness, pleasure and disgust. It hides the smile and the expression of displeasure. It prevents the dissection of syllables through lip reading. Look at this very interesting Italian study published last year. They demonstrated that small children have strong difficulty in identifying face expressions when wearing masks. Take a look at these numbers. Only 39% positive hits either in the happy face expression covered by mask and also in the sad expression covered by mask. The Busy Parent study, which was commissioned by the Californian delivery company Munchery in 2018, mind that before the pandemic, they interviewed 200,000 parents, and what they found was impressive. The average parent only has 32 minutes to themselves every day. They spend 18 hours on average directly taking care of their kids every week. And most all of them admit they have been too busy to cook. They skip 227 proper meals every year, and they spend almost $5,000 on takeout as a direct result of being too busy to cook. And how to face that? The British psychoanalyst Winnicott developed the concept, the mother good enough. She's the one who provides support and approval for her child in the first months of life, meeting his basic needs. As he approaches the first year of life, she realizes that the baby must gradually gain a life of its own and independence in order to be able to control the environment in which he lives and learn to live with and absorb the inevitable frustrations. Psychologist Bruno Bettelheim expanded this concept to a parenthood enough. Both parents taking on roles and using their own experiences as children as point of support. The memories of their childhood will make them more understanding and supportive and can offer different perspectives on the same event and complement each other. And the importance of play enriches the child's daily life. And finally, the need for me time. The alone time is also an opportunity to teach self-care for the kids. It should be part of the home's routine instead of reaction against the stressful situations. Every parent should find his escape, no matter how short, into something he really enjoys. Except for that, he must accept help from family members whenever possible. And it is fine to learn to tolerate chaos. And keep in mind, positive parenting is a very interesting approach, which means give more positive than negative feedbacks. But it is fine to express dislike or anger. They are part of the normal life. I'd like to end with a quote by Rubem Alves, a Brazilian psychoanalyst. We are like this. We dream of the flight, but we fear the height. To fly, you must have the courage to face the terror of the void. The void is the space of freedom, the absence of certainties. But that's what we fear most, not being certain. That's why we exchange the flight for the cage. Cages are the places where certainties live.
We've heard from each of our experts, and now it's time to deepen their insights regarding the concerns that parents face globally and how you, the healthcare providers and doctors, can help navigate these various challenges. Let's bring back Ms. Maribel Janisha, Cesar Vaquero, and Dr. Claudio Schwartzman. All right. Hello, everybody. How's everybody feeling today?
Hi. Good.
Yes. Miss Maribel, you are in the Philippines?
Right. I'm in the Philippines. So it's evening. Yep.
Evening. And Cesar, you are in Mexico, correct?
Yes, I'm in Mexico, and here is the morning.
It's morning. And Dr.
Yes.
Schwartzman, you are in?
São Paulo, Brazil, also in the morning.
Well, morning. Okay, so welcome to our panel of experts. Again, thank you for participating. We are so honored that you're here to share your knowledge with us. Now, I myself am honored to be part of this. I'm no expert. I'm just a parent. No, not just. Parents are important, right? I am a parent, and I'm showing up because I have ringside seats to what our experts are going to share. So I hope the healthcare providers listening and the doctors, these are things that parents are thirsty for. Okay, so let's get into it. I have 3 children, and during the pandemic, I almost it felt like I was losing my mind. But here we are. Let's talk about it. To our panel, why don't we first talk about the cues that any doctor should look for or to watch for in the parents so that they can identify that they're struggling or that they're in need of support and help. So why don't we start with Cesar? In your years of experience, I'm sure you've had your fair share of patients who are perhaps a little hesitant, maybe they're shy to bring up the struggles they're going through. So what are the nonverbal cues that our viewers should watch for to alert them that the parent is struggling?
Thank you very much, Delamar. Yeah, well, there are many, many cues. You can look at them physically. If there are signals like if there are fidgety movements, like bouncing the legs or tapping their fingers or rubbing material, like there are many things they can do. Every single action that they diminish or that it's completely elevated we have to observe that. But we also have to be alert of our own experience as a human being with another human being. We have to
Right.
acknowledge we have to acknowledge that really we're not helping. We are sharing information. And it's really a vulnerable place for the parents to be because you are in a position of hierarchy of power, and
Yes.
that puts themselves like in a really vulnerable position. So it's normal to feel nervous, it's normal to feel stressed out about the whole situation. It's normal, but the pediatricians and the healthcare providers, they do have to realize that in order for them to be empathetic. So there's a lot of things that physically can change in a person, like their faces, or they're
Yeah.
tapping, or they're oversharing something, and you have to be aware of those things.
Right. It's the physical manifestation, like even like looking at them, right? If they can't look at you. But Cesar, I'm so happy you brought this up. Uh, because that's where the vulnerability for me as a parent, I am in charge of a child. And if I don't know how to do that, I feel inadequate. And it shows in how I talk to my pediatrician, even how I talk to my children in the pediatrician's office, correct?
Yes, yes.
Right.
And of course, the child knows that he is in a place that he doesn't know, so he's gonna react also towards that. And you are also gonna react because the office is a place of vulnerability. Yes.
Yeah. And in that office, it's the healthcare providers and the doctors who are supposed to, like, kind of help the parents and the children along.
Yes, yes, you have
Yeah.
to provide a comfortable environment for the people to feel like they can talk about their things. They can talk about the things that are happening because sometimes they don't trust and they keep their thoughts, and maybe they're hiding some things that are really relevant for the children's health.
Right. So just be watchful about verbal and nonverbal cues, how the parents feel in the office, how they're interacting with their child. That's a really great point. All right, here we go. On the other side of the coin, though, Miss Maribel, as a consultant, you're used to your clients opening up to you. By the time they reached your office, they're kind of willing to open up, right? They're willing to talk. Are there any buzzwords that you've learned to watch for to identify that they're really struggling?
Well, from the I do an individual session with the parent first.
Mhm.
Ask them what are their concerns, and usually a common concern is the conversation between me and my child is very much reduced, or my child has started locking himself or herself in the bedroom. They just come out for meal times, and sometimes they don't even come out for meal times. They will eat when everybody's gone, especially during the pandemic. When the relationship was not good before the pandemic, it got worse during the pandemic. So many kids started hiding, isolating themselves, which really worried a number of the parents.
Right. Just from one of the people that I work with, he said the same thing. His teenager son, won't eat with them. He will
Right.
wait for them to finish. What is that? What is that about? Do we give them space? Do we encourage them to come to join the mealtime?
All right. If the relationship with the parent has been pretty good before that incident, then I will give the child space. But I tell the parent to just listen for any sound in the room. Is he talking to somebody? Are they playing music, or a book drop or something? Then he's okay.
Right.
Don't worry. What the parent is he okay? Is he alive? Is he going to do
Yes.
something to himself? And
Yeah.
so you have to really know the child, and that's why it's important in parenting that you know the child. In the case I had, they knew the child, they had a good relationship. It was just a problem, so we gave them space. We gave the child space. But it can take like 2 months to give them space. Really, it can be worrisome. I said, buy his favorite food, put it out there. He'll come out at 12 midnight. Sometimes he will eat it, sometimes he will not. So the interaction is different. That's why I'm glad about our session here, the stories about younger parents. We want to get the younger parents to get educated so they don't have those kinds of problems with adolescents.
Miss Maribel, I love this phrase you said. It's a 2-word phrase. Three-word phrase. Know your child.
Know your
that
child.
That really is it. Because if you don't know your child, how can you even talk to them? I love it.
Right.
Okay, in your line of work, what are the common parenting challenges or situations that have been shared with you during these sessions? And can you expound on the usual reasons why parents feel pressured?
Well, parents get pressured, especially when there's misbehavior of the child at home or in school, or the grades are going down, or the children are not conversing with them, because the parents want to be in the loop. But for a parent to be in the loop, you have to be connecting, doing something positive with your children. And normally, that's the problem with many. The problem of the children with their parents. Their parents are either not listening, they're talking too much, or they're negative. All right, or the rules are just so strict; they're not appropriate, so they're rebelling in a sense.
Right. Oh, wow. You also said a while ago, sometimes it takes 2 months to give them space. And I like that for a parent. It's like, no, let's resolve it today, right now. Like, no, we're playing the long game with parenting.
Yes.
And then you just have to be there with them. The idea of when they're wanting space from you and leaving food outside, because you're still showing them that I love you, I'm here.
Right, you're concerned, right? Yes.
Yes.
So you can show your acts of love, or do some service. Maybe write a note, bring out your clothes, we'll have them washed or something, or what kind of food do you want, so that there is some connection that you can still create with your child while giving them space. No.
Yeah. All right. So at this time, I'd like to turn to Dr. Schwartzman. As a practicing pediatrician, have you ever encountered situations like these in your own practice? I'm sure you, of course, no need to mention names, but can you share with us an anecdote or an experience with guiding or assisting a parent who has turned to you for help?
Yes, thank you. Actually, I can remember 2 testimonies that marked me a lot. The first one was a young mother. She had 2 small children, and when I asked if the mother was doing fine, she replied, I'm going to tell you strange episodes. I had a very pleasant moment last week, a treatment session at the dentist. Surprised, I asked why, and she replied, she lied down for 40 minutes. She was absorbed in her thoughts. She listened to dentist office music without demands or screaming or crying.
Yes.
Very strange. It's very strange to hear that. The second was about also a young mother. She's a doctor, and she also has 2 small kids. And she works in a very busy emergency room in São Paulo. She told me she looked forward to the shifts. She could even rest among the chaos of the ER.
Oh my goodness.
These are 2 very concerning episodes. What can we say? One does not need to go to the dentist or be absorbed at work to cope better with the challenges. What is probably happening with them? Mainly lack of balance, less partnership with the father, less help by family members, lack of perspective. One must try to be a mother good enough and give space to the kids for self-care and a sense of autonomy. She must learn to accept chaos and try positive parenting. Realize also that it's okay to be angry and distressed, but mainly find a me time, something really meaningful for them. And not reacting to stressful situations, but as a family routine. It should be part of every parent's life. And most of all, bring the subject to the partner. Accept also family members' help whenever possible.
Amazing. A mom who's going to the dentist because that's her me time. I'm there, Dr. Schwartzman. I'm there. All right, let's get on to another topic. Our entire panel has made some very excellent points thus far, and we can all agree that this can certainly apply to parents who are open to receiving assistance and advice. But what about those parents who are not used to seeking assistance from experts or people who are not members of their own family? How can we also provide them with the help that they need?
Yes. Well, it's difficult, when the parents don't want to seek any assistance. I will not talk to them. I will wait for them to ask for help because, they might just be upset. But we can maybe indirectly just provide information in general without talking about their particular case. If you see a certain, you see certain symptoms or some signs there. But if you're the doctor, you can just say, I just noticed that maybe the appetite of your child or the weight of your child has gone down. Is there something going on there? Because I receive a lot of questions about, especially the children are below below 6, problems about how to get them to eat properly within 15 to 20 minutes, not 1 hour, not 2 hours. It consumes a lot of the time of the parent, and the child is there playing in the table or so. But I think, there are parents who are open to share this with the doctors, and the doctors can guide them and give them advice. I had the same problem with my son before. He was not eating. And we tried all the appetite stimulant, those medicines. But, and since my husband's a doctor also, a family medicine doctor, he said, let's try getting him tired. Maybe he's not yet hungry. And so we got a 3-wheel bike to get him tired. And lo and behold, he started eating. So the doctor can explain, but the parent has to be keen also in knowing each child, as I mentioned a while ago, because the solution can come from the parent as well. And the doctors can ask, what have you tried? Or what worked, what didn't work? And maybe there are these 2 or 3 things the doctor can recommend, no? To the parent. Yes,
Ms. Maribel, but so for you, it's better to, if the parent is feeling hesitant, not ready to ask for assistance, it's best that you think they become ready before you start addressing anything.
Right.
And then meanwhile, they can use other things to kind of approach the mother to open up, but not directly. Do I understand that? Okay.
Yes, or you can say, I heard this other parent had this. I wonder if you might experience this later on. This is what they did. So it's an indirect way. Because there's some parents who are, I don't know if call it pride, or they just feel that you don't need to talk to teach me. I know how to handle my kids. When it's very clear from the doctor's point of view, or even my point of view, that they really need help. And the sad thing, many come for help when I call it, the case is already in ICU. It's very, very bad. And so we'd encourage parents, please get help as early as possible. Because, you're in pain, the child is in pain. And the learning, this is something that we can learn and we can help each other out. And the doctors are there as well.
All right, so let's take the scenario a bit further. Let's say our doctors have already opened up the topic of offering assistance to the parent couple. How do you think they can sustain the dialogue just to make sure that, it's really helping them in the long run?
yeah, I guess after the medical part, they can go to the psychosocial part of asking, so how's your relationship, or how does your child eat or sleep? And so the doctor has to make time for that,
Right.
to do that conversation. And if the parents see that the doctor is concerned and has information, a lot of doctors have been attending our parenting course, especially the pediatricians, because the parents are asking them, thinking
Yes.
they're supposed to be the experts in parenting, no? And some pediatricians took it to heart, no? But I told the pediatricians, you can just pass them on to me, and we will educate them and give them information, because there's a lot really to learn.
Right. How about you, Cesar? Any thoughts on how to ensure this dialogue once they start opening up? We're playing the long game, not just with the kid, but with the parents. How do we keep that going?
Yeah, well, it has a lot to do with my first answer that has to be with creating a comfortable environment, really. And their concerns are valid. Every single concern is valid. And you, as a pediatrician or as a healthcare provider, you should try to ask them if they really, not if they're understood, because then it will seem a little uncomfortable, but if they can reproduce or they can tell any single question, any single thing. We're in an era that has a lot of information, and we
Right.
get to have information from the web, from internet, from even their grandparents, even other people. Here in Mexico, we have a culture that really, really, really establishes the parameters and the things that parents are going to do, um, considering what the grandparents have as an information. And sometimes it's really helpful, and sometimes it's not. So we have
Right.
to make sure that they understand and that they trust us as experts in order for them to consider our information as valid. Otherwise, they're going to be with another information that it's not going to be so helpful.
Right. I think
Yeah.
for me as a parent, the part that becomes hard for me when communicating with a doctor, whether it's my own doctor or my children's doctor, is really when I feel dismissed. When
Yes.
I feel like the doctor's, no, that you do this. You haven't heard me. You haven't heard what I'm going through. Can you please listen? And now that you're talking, now that this whole thing is happening, this symposium is happening, it gives me comfort that other mothers will now feel heard and not dismissed. All right, follow-up question, Cesar. How has the pandemic affected parents, and how has it affected the way you communicate with the parents?
Well, it has changed a lot, a lot. I mean, the pandemic came and changed the world entirely and the way we communicate with others. Right now, we are sharing information globally with the internet and with our cameras, and that was really helpful to know that there's experts and there's many people that can help you, even though you're at home. So when I was in the well, we're still in the pandemic, but when I was consulting at the beginning, all of our appointments were Zoom calls, and it was really helpful to see how they interact with their children in their own environment. So that
Yeah,
helped a lot.
because you
Yes,
didn't see that in the office. It's
exactly.
different. You're right.
No, no. So
Right.
that helped a lot. That helped a lot. But it also, we have to be aware that the parents feel lonely and they feel isolated in these situations. So it was really difficult for me to give them, like, I'm with you if they caught the Zoom call and then they say, well, yeah, you're with me, but now I'm alone. I'm by myself. Yes. So we have to share and we have to, yes, put some boundaries, but we also have to make them feel as if they can really trust you. I'm repeating this information, but it's really important for you and for others to get that we are sharing, just
Yes.
sharing information.
Right. All right. Thank you for that. Dr. Schwartzman, coming from the answers of both Ms. Maribel and Cesar, do you think pediatricians, such as yourself, should be more involved with the parenting concerns?
Yes, of course. That should always be an integral part of the pediatric healthcare visit. The pediatrician should bring this subject by asking a few questions, not about the child, but about the parents and their routine and how they are coping with these challenges, bringing up their concerns and their doubts and moving from there. And I don't think guidance is the right word. Discussing ways forward and acquiring balance is the main purpose. It's always important to stress these challenges have been with every parent since the beginning of times.
Right. It was difficult long ago. It's difficult now, but it's just a different kind of difficult, right?
Yes, that's right. It has never been so easy to raise a child today, but it has never been so difficult as well. This paradox is what we must bring and try to discuss with the parents. And it should be an integral part of the consultation, as important as nutrition, vaccination, health control, and diagnosing illnesses.
So it's not just the medical side, and healthcare providers have to include that in how they approach dealing with each case, right?
Yes, of course, but this is the medical side as well.
Yes.
Not only
right.
Not only disease and health control. This is an integral part of people's health.
All right. Do you have any advice for fellow healthcare providers on how to be more parent connected? I think that's the right term, parent connected, and how to be more open to addressing parenting woes?
Yes. Hearing the other is a skill that, like every other skill, must be nurtured and trained, and also be an integral part of healthcare professional schools curriculum, especially medicine. And this is what distinguishes between the real profession and the technician.
Oh, that's beautiful. There's a difference, a technician and a healthcare professional. All right, as a follow-up, Dr. Schwartzman, how can pediatricians or other doctors gain more confidence in giving advice to their parent partners?
Well, like I said, this is a skill that must be trained from the start of the medical school and the training in pediatrics. It's not that easy to learn to hear others and stimulating them to open their minds and telling how are they coping with these challenges. The pediatricians should be trained for that since the start of their training as doctors.
Okay, thank you so much. Our entire panel has offered us so much wisdom and knowledge in such a short amount of time that it feels like a shame that our session has to end here because I feel like there are more questions. That being said, I think it's important that we all remember and take to heart these key points. All right. We have to discuss perceived factors that impact the parents. We have to recognize parenting difficulties and give appropriate management, or just to make the parents feel heard. Sometimes it starts there. And also practice effective communication skills with the parents, and not just with words. We're not just hearing their words, but like earlier at the beginning of this discussion, we talked about nonverbal cues, how they feel, are they fidgeting? So just to be more aware, we need to be more connected with the parents so that we can kind of help them parent their kids, right? All right, I wish we had more time. Okay, here we go. Before we finally end our session, and as much as we would like to ask many more questions, we all have individual lives that we need to get back to. But first, can we ask our panelists for some parting words for our audience today? Can we start with Miss Maribel?
Yes, thank you so much again for this webinar. So in parting, I'd like to share with the parents, they keep saying it is difficult. I guess there are difficulties, but the difficulties will be reduced if we get ourselves or commit ourselves to getting informed, because parenting is a vocation. So we have to commit ourselves to continuing education, to listen well, how to build the self-confidence of our children and develop those roots in our kids so that, when they go out in the world, they are prepared. And that is our role as parents, to prepare them. And it is a very fulfilling experience. So I hope the other parents will jump into it, learn, and do our part of building a better society.
I like that. And approach parenting as if it were a vocation where you're continually learning. Thank you, Miss Maribel. How about you, Cesar? Parting words?
Thank you, Delamar. Thank you for inviting me to this webinar. I think it's really important to have the information, and it's also really important to make sure that the person that is in front of you is feeling comfortable and not vulnerable. Otherwise, they won't open up about all the information that they have, and they won't understand it. So you have to ask yourself, as a pediatrician, as a doctor, or as someone who's sharing information with others, if you would feel comfortable in their position, like put yourself in the shoes of the other and being empathetic. That's all it takes. You don't have to know every single thing about medicine. You just have to know what are the needs of the person that is in front of you. So that's it. Be calm.
So you're saying empathy goes a long way.
Yes.
Right. Thank you so much. How about you, Dr. Schwartzman? Any parting words?
Yes, thank you. Please keep in mind that this is not a challenge of present times. It is with us since the beginning of the human societies. Only the challenges are different. We are talking here about nurturing legacies, and this is probably why it is so difficult. One, such the balance involve both partners, accept help from family members, have the me time, alone time, routinely and not reactively to problems, and most of all, share your concerns with others and try to be positive instead of negative. Thank you.
A huge thank you to our experts, Ms. Maribel Janisho, Cesar Baquero, and Dr. Claudio Schwartzman, for taking the time to be here with us today and provide us with their expert knowledge on how you doctors can better reach out and communicate to your partner parents when it comes to helping them sort through their challenges. How parents respond to the needs of their children will eventually influence the kind of adults they will later become. As healthcare professionals caring for children, it is crucial that all our doctor viewers today learn and understand perceived circumstances that couples think impact their ability to properly provide the holistic care their child needs. That brings today's exclusive symposium to an end. I'd like to thank everyone for taking the time to attend this very exclusive symposium. It's been an honor being your host and moderator for today. We hope all the lessons and insights provided here today can help you build better partnership foundations with your partner parents as you all work towards providing children with the holistic and comprehensive care they need. Once again, my name is Delamar Arias, bidding you all a goodbye and have a good day.